Welcome to the 10th Annual First Source Bank Commercialization Award celebration. This award recognizes great commercialization from faculty at the University of Notre Dame and faculty from the Indiana University School of Medicine here in South Bend. Today we're celebrating 10 years of this award. If you can believe that, it's gone by fairly quickly. But today we're going to have an opportunity to look back on all of the previous 10 winners, where they are now, and the impact that they've had on our region. This will also be the first year for a second place award, which we'll do every year going forward. The awards have also gone up, $25,000 for first place and $10,000 for second. So why has this award been important? Let me tell you a little story that I think will illustrate what the impact of this might be. If you follow cycling at all, you'll know that over the last century, the British cycling team has been woeful. Never won the Tour de France between the 1900s and the 2000s. But in the year 2003, Sir Dave Brailsford took over the British biking team. And he had something that was really interesting as a saying for his team. He said that what we want to do is we want to aggregate marginal gains. And the point with this is that by small and simple means, great things might be brought to pass. It was the little things that mattered. In the exact same way, we're trying to take small gains, commercialization here, companies here, jobs being formed here, that create a virtuous cycle, and that over time that virtuous cycle builds on itself to a point where it begins to take on its own life, and that you start to see transformation happen in our community in really powerful ways. This award is a very important part of that transformation. And over this last 10 years, as you will see, there have been lots of marginal gains that, taken in the aggregate, have turned into something really impressive. Now, it's my great pleasure at this time to introduce the CEO and chairman of First Source Bank, who has been responsible for creating and endowing this award. Please join with me to welcome Chris Murphy.
Thank you, Brian. It's good to be
Thanks,
with you
Chris.
today. Let me welcome all of you in the audience, faculty members, certainly staff of Notre Dame and Indiana University Medical School, and all those others of you who are out there who help people here build businesses. I want to open by thanking the Idea Center and Brian Ritchie in particular and the staff together for the work they've done helping people start and de-risk businesses here. And I want to recognize and thank Father Jenkins and Provost Miranda for their continued support for this award and its importance in recognizing faculty for their commercialization efforts. Now, most of my comments are to you, the faculty and staff here. When we last met in 2019, I talked about it being an exciting time in Michiana and at Notre Dame. The year before, I talked about all the good things going on with the Regional Cities Initiative, the growth of the Indiana University Medical School at Notre Dame into a full four-year program, the growth of research and academic programs in the Notre Dame graduate schools, the development of new computational programs and design thinking in the university, and about people working together to do good in the world through research, creativity, innovation, and commercializations of products and services. We recognized two faculty members then that stepped into the burgeoning area of blockchain digitalization and a host of computing applications that can have transformational impact on businesses and financial markets and instruments. They've gone on to raise substantial capital and are now building the business here in the Michiana region. Also since then, we have had some challenging times with COVID. We all know that. But as a result, we've seen what good can come out of research and innovation when products are developed to help people, are actually taken to the market to serve those people. Certainly the speed with which new medications and new protocols have been developed for dealing with COVID is nothing short of miraculous. And only by getting to the market could these innovations help people. That happened because people and businesses worked together. They partnered, one discipline helping another. They shared resources, pushed the envelope, and worked tirelessly to get to the market, just as you have to do to be successful. Millions of lives have been saved, and tens, maybe hundreds of millions of lives protected from severe impact. In the meantime, to help us deal with the challenges of a shutdown economy and not being able to gather together, a whole host of new communication methods have been created and commercialized just as a whole set of new mobile services and delivery channels were developed and introduced. We're all relying on them. We've truly moved into a dawn of a digital age. All of this happened because someone, somewhere, innovated and created a service or a product to meet a need. That's what this award, this First Source Commercialization Award, is designed to do. It's designed to encourage you to shine a bright light on your creativity, your innovation, your perseverance in taking your and ND's intellectual property through the arduous process of development and commercialization to get to the market so you can help people. Is to applaud you for your efforts and to encourage you to continue. Now, along the way, we hope you employ people here in our community. We hope you attract new talent that adds to the richness of our community and who help you do good in the world. So my purpose tonight is to thank you from all of us at First Source and all of us in the community who share this community as home with you, is to thank you for the people you bring here, is to thank you for the people you impact in a good way, is to thank you for helping to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem, one that was just mentioned by Brian, building over time, little things that help attract talent, create products and services, launch businesses, and truly move Notre Dame into people's everyday lives in good ways. Over the past years, we have selected one from among you to receive this award. But there have been many participants, many nominees who did not receive the award, but went on to develop products or services and build businesses. We've had wonderful successes over the years among our winners and among our nominees, just as we do this year. So I want to finish by congratulating our nominees and our winners. I have great hope for their businesses and their products. But I know to be successful, they will have to partner with others. They will have to pivot as they understand the market. They will have to pivot as they learn new things about the market they will be serving. And they will have to build an infrastructure to sustain what they've started. We look forward to helping with that in any way we can. So again, congratulations to our winners, and thank you to all of you from the faculty and staff at Notre Dame and Indiana University School of Medicine here at Notre Dame. And thank you to all those in our audience who helped serve the businesses starting here.
Father Jenkins, when he started his tenure as president here, had persuaded the Board of Trustees that he wanted to make the university a preeminent research university. And he hired Tom Burish as his provost at the time. And one of the things associated with that was to create a vice president for research position that hadn't existed here before. So I was very fortunate to be the first vice president for research here when I came here 2 years later. So when I came to the position in 2007, I inherited a tech transfer office, and we knew that we had to upgrade it if we wanted to be a first-class research university. We wanted to make sure that things found their way out of the laboratory into commercial use. Not long after I arrived here, Chris Murphy came over and said that he had just been down to Purdue and talked to the president at the time, Martin Jischke, about the momentum building that had gone on at Purdue to grow the commercialization program.
And that led to saying, man, we've got to do something here to really help change the culture over time. Notre Dame was beginning to make a transition from being totally focused on undergraduate education to being much more engaged in research and discovery at the graduate level.
Chris came to us then with a proposal to endow a fund that would do a celebration of commercialization at Notre Dame and IU School of Medicine South Bend that found its way into the local community.
On the campus, faculty members were recognized for their research, their publishing, their teaching, but not for commercialization. So we decided to give $1 million to the university and create the First Source Commercialization Award. As time went on, we began to realize there were also other things that had to be done and other things that ought to be recognized. And so as part of the Commercialization Award dinner, which got bigger and bigger, a larger part of the community was invited that supports innovation and the commercialization of intellectual property. And we also started recognizing professors who had filed a disclosure and those that had gotten a patent.
In the early days, we also had relatively small set of people who would show up. We invited the campus, we invited a lot of the community leaders, but this was a new thing. And some of the early events were pretty small, actually. One of the key elements of turning that corner was when Pat McMahon joined us here at the university. I asked him if he would take on the responsibility of making this a real event in the kind of vision that Chris Murphy had as far as being a big event.
And so we sat back and took a look at what they were trying to do, and they were trying to acknowledge faculty members and their licensing activity and things that were starting up in businesses. And the award itself focused on those that have actually been licensed and were taking off. So we stepped back and said, well, there's a whole base of people that are needed to support this and take it to that point. So we started building the dinner around that. People that were associated with the university or in the community that were involved in startups or in counseling or in helping build prototypes for us. We were about that business too. We reached out to banking folks, people from the Industrial Revolving Fund, a number of different entities across the community here and in Elkhart. It really, I think, created a bigger understanding across the community of how important it is of capturing these ideas that are being generated at the university. And how do we go about doing that? How can we do effectively? And that's a challenge. It's been a challenge for a number of years, and quite frankly, the communities and the universities who figure out how to effectively do that transfer are going to be far better off than places that don't.
I think what happened here was shining a light on this transformative process that was beginning to take place at Notre Dame, but wanted to extend into the community of South Bend, Elkhart, and into this region, needed to have a catalyst, and it needed to have a vision. And I think that Chris Murphy and the first commercialization award dinner that he came up with Tom Burrish was precisely that spark, right? That opportunity to say, hey, let's showcase what's happening inside of Notre Dame. Let's make sure that it gets out into the community. Let's make sure the community can celebrate that, and let's begin that flywheel. Let's start pushing that process. And then you start to see these things start to snowball, start to build, and start to grow. All the way through to the point that Notre Dame then says, hey, let's now build the Idea Center, and let's do Idea Week, and let's have a fund, and let's bring in not only the faculty, but also the students, and now let's bring in the community, and let's bring in the alums, and all of this now is starting to pick up speed on that first effort to bring light at what's happening.
We were, I think, one of the first, I think, out of the new wave to even think about starting a company. So it was really nice to be recognized for that work. And I think it was, for the Notre Dame community, it was probably our first chance to explain to some of our peers and some of the others what we were up to. It was really a new thing at that point. I think, the notion that faculty members could also be engineers, that professors might actually have an interest in starting a business and playing an active role in it. So it's kind of a, coming out party of sorts, I think. So when we won the first Source Commercialization Award, it was a company that was named Emu Technology, which had developed a novel computer architecture and a system that's particularly good at some of the kinds of data analytic problems that we're facing. Since we've won the award, we've gone through some pretty significant changes. Probably the most significant is the name of the company has changed to Lucada. And really what that's about is Lucada is a company that's focused on comprehensive solutions. That's the software, the applications, and Emu is the technology within Lucada that this new company is based around. And we're really excited about the opportunities that opens up in terms of better serving a larger customer base. So the future looks bright for Lucada. At this point, we have 22 employees that are spread around the country, many working remotely, but we have offices set up in South Bend as well as New York City. Our South Bend office is focused on software, and our New York City office is focused on hardware. We definitely have plans to expand the number of employees that we have here in South Bend. The whole experience of helping to build Emu, now Lucada, really has been transformational for me. Today I'm the director of the Center for Civic Innovation at Notre Dame, which works on issues in the local region, South Bend, Elkhart. Really has given me an opportunity to synthesize what I've learned about technology and business and social issues in a way that benefits the campus community as well as the regional local community.
So I always felt that as an engineering researcher and educator, I should be developing products for future markets. And it was very clear to me and to also other people in engineering that biotech that can help you diagnose diseases by detecting what kind of bacteria, what kind of virus that you have in your body would be a major contribution to health science. It will allow you to screen diseases earlier, make diagnosis, and also apply the therapy earlier, and hence get better cure rate. You also will lower the cost of healthcare. So I won the first Source Commercialization Award in 2013, and that's about 2 years after we have licensed technology to F-Cubed. They decided, because of the amount of investment they had at that point, that it was better not to go into the medical market, but rather to get into food safety market. So there was a need for a low-cost device that could tell you whether there are actually bacteria in the food products that are made. So that's the way they pursue it, and they have now a food safety product that's now being validated and then will be commercialized next year, and they hope to go public next year. But in the interim, after I've won the award, there was another company called AgendaX that has licensed a second technology from my lab. And that company, AgendaX, is still doing very well at the incubator at Notre Dame. Now, since then, I myself have gotten interested in founding new companies. So I'm in the process of negotiating with Notre Dame for 3 additional IPs. So what we hope to do is not just limiting ourselves to pancreatic cancer, but rather do sort of pan disease. I can screen all cancers that anybody could likely could actually come down with. So I have now 3 or 4 technologies we're developing. We think we're now mature enough that we can pass it to a company to do the downstream development. So I see this just growing exponentially in the future. I see that the research in Notre Dame will continue to improve, and the startups, there will be more and more, and some of them will survive and do very well. And I think in due time, the city will be better for it.
The Commercialization Award ceremony really has more pieces to it than just the winner of the Commercialization Award. I mean, every patent that is issued, they get acknowledged and they're recognized. And it's really a nice ceremony and a dinner. And, you know, these are kinds of things, these celebrations are really important in the startup ecosystem. It keeps energy, you know, all those folks that come together, they hear about other technologies and those kinds of things. And so it's really its own flywheel where it's self-replicating and people anticipate and they know where to go for information. And so whether you're an investor or an entrepreneur or those kinds of things, you know where to go. And this is, you know, this is the big shindig every year that celebrates that.
The genesis of the company started by tinkering in lab with anesthesia manifolds, and we were able to solve some of the critical problems, namely with waste gas leakage, which is very harmful to researchers. We took some of our prototypes to a conference in Savannah, Georgia in fall of 2013, showed a full-on big anesthesia company what we were up to. They loved the product. They gave us a verbal PO by the end of the conference, and that spurred us to launch In Vivo Concepts later that fall. From there, we went ahead and started to fulfill our orders, and then here comes in the spring of 2014, we won the First Source Award. Winning the First Source Award on a personal level was deeply humbling, and I was awestruck by it, and it was certainly a wonderful milestone in my career. But more than that, it was extremely important for In Vivo Concepts because we took that prize money and plowed it right into the company, and that helped us facilitate a great deal of R&D into generating new product lines that allowed us to essentially become a really compelling partnership/acquisition target for Somni Scientific, who a little more than a year ago approached us and said, hey, let's partner up and we'd like to buy 52% of the company. From there, though, I would say even take it one step further is that that planted the seeds of being a serial entrepreneur. So since then, I've launched 4 additional companies. A couple haven't made it, but a couple are going strong, and I'm very excited about their prospects for really advancing the common good. I think this is all about ecosystem, right? So we have the University of Notre Dame with the Idea Center as the tip of the spear for helping commercialize things that are coming out of the university. You've got Startup South Bend Elkhart, who's helping the community at large take their ideas, generate prototypes, and drive that towards startups. And then you've got other important players like First Source, who's recognizing a lot of this and providing funds that folks can use to reinvest in their companies. And when you add all of that together, you start to see some very special things happening in the community. And we're very grateful to First Source for that recognition and for those funds that helped us to grow.
We won in 2015, and it did a couple of things. I mean, certainly locally, it gave us immediate credibility to have both First Source and the university recognizing the organization. That enhanced people's interest and understanding of the company within the university community, within the local South Bend community, and also within the Notre Dame network. And in fact, over time, we've had a fair amount of our business come from the Notre Dame network. So that was actually, really contributed to a revenue impact for us. I think the recognition of innovation and entrepreneurship and commercialization, by definition, will produce more of it. And it's quite a testament to Chris Murphy's foresight on this, for having really driven this award many years ago. I think what happened over time was a gradual ratcheting up. We also give some credit to Gary Jago at the university in the Mendoza School for the Jago Center for Entrepreneurship, which has now been integrated into the Idea Center. So you have a combination of different organizations bringing light to the opportunity for innovation in our marketplace, and everything builds on everything else. So in the next 5 years, this award is going to be increasingly important, and by the way, it's going to be producing and supporting increasingly successful commercial ventures. If it were just the commercialization award by itself, it would have an impact, which it has. When you combine that with now the overarching umbrella of the Idea Center and the discipline process that they apply to evaluate new ideas and to drive and build them, in the next 5 years, 10 years for sure. I mean, this is going to be an exciting era for commercialization coming out of the university and the South Bend community.
Engineering faculty live to have impact. They live to make a contribution. I think if students understood that engineering is about changing society and making contributions to society, more young people would choose engineering. And it's one thing to do research and publish papers. It's very gratifying. It's useful. But when something is commercialized, I personally find that to be sort of the height of achievement. When you get to see that happen and transition the technology into the world, it's really the most gratifying thing. And winning the First Source Award was more confirmation that something real was happening. The semiconductor industry is extremely conservative. It takes a lot to change the way they do things. And the idea that a small company in northern Indiana is going to teach the semiconductor industry a better way of making and packaging integrated circuits is practically something from another universe. I mean, you would think it can't be done. But in fact, Indiana Integrated Circuits is doing that. The amount of activity and the amount of interest and the size of the projects that IIC, Indiana Integrated Circuits, is engaged in now is just extremely exciting. There's a lot going on in micro and nanofabrication at Notre Dame. And as a matter of fact, the University of Notre Dame has been the lead on now its third in a row National Center for Advancements in Microelectronics Research. So Notre Dame has what's becoming a long history of being a national leader in micro and nano electronics technology. I feel this is really good for the undergraduates. I personally encourage undergraduates to find a faculty member and work with that person on a research project. The students get valuable skills from working on research. If it weren't a research university, there wouldn't be any research for students to work with. And that brings in expertise, it brings in tools, it brings in funding, and faculty become doers rather than just teachers. And it benefits everybody to have this kind of environment.
Analytics is a data platform company. What we find is there's data-driven decision-making in all aspects of a business, whether from an operational side of it, from a revenue generation side of it, and ultimately, we are trying to provide answers and insights to your most pressing business questions, driven by data. Our flagship product now is called Daybreak, which provides you that data model to get to the business answers. We have on-site that enables creation of these daybreaks. We have a structure of innovation lab, which develops, innovates AI-based, machine learning-based technologies to make our data creation better, to drive answers better. Year after year, there is some amazing exponential growth that we are experiencing, not just in people or revenue, even in terms of technology innovation. So it truly has been a fascinating, almost 10-year journey since the origin, and it feels like we are just getting started still. So when in 2017, when we received the first Source Commercialization Award, since then, we have fivefold grown in terms of people. We have seen a compounded annual growth rate of about 60% in our revenue. And we are continuing to hire, continuing to grow, continuing to innovate. And in South Bend, Indiana, we have been growing. We've been part of shaping that future since the last 10 years. So we were ahead of the curve in many ways in building that intelligent data platform view. And as a result, it's helped us attract some amazing talent. Folks from all over the country. We have had graduates from Berkeley, MIT, State University, New York, Michigan, Notre Dame, Indiana University. So we have had an influx of these young graduates who are believers and want to be part of building something, creating something. And we have also, as a side effect, inspired some of our team members to go out and build their own companies. So it's, to me, that is the ripple effect that it's creating in the community where these jobs create more jobs. Analytics is part of an ecosystem that exists because of trust and support of organizations that have existed in the region, whether it's the RV industry within ELCA, the University of Notre Dame, First Source Bank, etc. And when these organizations believe in building an ecosystem and supporting, it's evident magic can happen.
You know, winning the award was really a phenomenal experience. You know, I'd been to the award ceremony a couple years before that and listened to some of the people who were up for it. And when I found out that we were nominated for it, I said, well, we're really not in the same boat as a lot of those people. I mean, they're curing cancer and doing some really, really phenomenal things. And while I think we're doing some phenomenal things too, it's a lot more grassroots. It's a lot more something that the normal person can relate to. And seeing some of the things that we've accomplished over the last few years has just made it even that much more rewarding to see how we're helping the normal person on a daily basis. And it's really been a heartwarming feeling. The TACO had been around for probably 5 or 6 years, and since now. And initially it was all just mainly for athletics. It kind of struck a chord a few years ago that this might be something that would be beneficial to more people, and so that's when the process kind of started for a patent and those type of steps took place, and it wasn't long after that Fred Furlick got involved, and Fred's vision was astronomical in how diverse it was, and so that's where it kind of really started to take off in addressing so many other healthcare needs.
Well, I think the future for TACO is unlimited. I really do, because I think this brace is going to change society. Because Anyone that's worn that big black or gray boot can't get around. Ours is a functional brace of 14 ounces, so it's going to change society. People can work, shop, play, and we have 3 divisions. We have the sports division, which Mike Bean takes care of, and then we have the occupational health, workman's comp, like 20,000 patients in Elkhart we have a pilot program with. And then we have the regular patients where all ankle conditions, all the way from ankle sprains to multiple sclerosis, anybody with an ankle problem or instability.
There's no question that when I first had the idea of even pursuing a patent on the brace, that I learned very quickly there was no way I was going to be able to do that on my own. With the help of the University of Notre Dame and the Idea Center, that became possible, and that was really kind of the starting point. But you know, the help and assistance we've gotten from day one from the University of Notre Dame and through the Idea Center, and also SureStep, the local orthotist here in town, Bernie Veldman. Without any one of those 3 components, there's no way we would be anywhere near where we are today in terms of, you know, our visibility and our ability to assist all these patients across the country.
So Simba Chain is a blockchain company. We deliver a platform and tools that make it very easy for you to use the blockchain. So first Source Commercialization Award was really the beginning of Simba's success. It helped us to win other awards, but also bring us to first round of funding that we started that year, and we accomplished in January 2020. And we raised at the time $1.5 million that helped us, to grow the company. We hired more people, mostly software engineers, but also we kind of entered the educational market. We sign up 10, 20 plus universities to use our platform for teaching. And the company was growing also on the government market. So these were the primary 2 markets that we kind of invested in. The 2020, during the COVID times, it actually was a very good year for the company. And this is where we started actually to raise Series A funding. And we just closed recently $25 million around Series A round of funding. So we're going to be, growing company even more. We're going to be bringing more jobs to the area. We are hiring nationally and internationally. We have opened an office in Wales, in Cardiff, in Europe. So really, it's an amazing trajectory for the company. So today, Simba employs around 40 people. And I think within the next year, we're going to be hiring another 50, maybe 60 people. I think it is very important to remember that Simba is a collaboration between Notre Dame's faculty, staff, but also local industry. This company was built together with the Natick family from the Itamco company, and I feel like this is a very, very important component and very good model for others to follow. I think having Notre Dame here is very helpful for local businesses to innovate, to collaborate with faculty and our students, and I feel like Simba Chain is a great model for such collaboration. Not only to grow businesses and innovate, but also I hope to, through this model to bring more workforce to our region. And this is where we struggle. I think it's very hard to bring in people to our region, and I think the ecosystem that we are building will dramatically help with bringing new people and new workforce to our region.
From a research perspective, Notre Dame is going to continue to grow, and it's going to continue to be more applied. I think probably what we'll see is that the university becomes more mission-centric in its research programs.
Turns out that most faculty really care about impact. They want their research to do something. And so if you can show them a pathway where that research actually leads to something valuable, they get really excited about doing more. And we have all of these professors who step forward then and say, let's do it with my technology now. Let's do it with this next technology. And so we're starting to see multiple, we call them frequent flyers at this point. They're coming back over and over again with technologies because they have confidence that maybe there's something that can help them move those out to the market.
So we've had a number of winners over the last 10 years who have done very well. We've also had a number of failures. Scientific discovery is only successful when you try and fail and then try again. You've got to take risk to break new ground,
to find new things. Innovation in the entrepreneurial segment and into the commercial marketplace is absolutely that.
If you look at the university and the discoveries that are made, without a real focused commercialization effort and without a partnership with the researchers and with the community and with alums and others, then what happens is those technologies just tend to stay inside the university. And so in a way you can say most things fail if they never get out of the university, because no one can use them. So in that case, if we said, well, let's do the best we can to take them out of the university and make them practically applicable, then if some of those fail, great. That's part of the process, right? And we learn from those failures. We try to fail forward. We try to move as fast as we can to do the right thing, to impact as many lives as we can.
Oh, I don't think there's any question that the momentum has advanced and is picking up speed and continues to grow tremendously just because of the number of people who get engaged and how they become engaged. They bring their talents and their background and they apply it to the business situation that they're addressing. And there's not a lot of people in the academic world that understand that business side. It needs a partnership.
I think the other critical element if you're going to be an entrepreneur and commercialize is you need to know when to pivot. There will always be a series of pivots. The market you thought was going to be there is not there. The product isn't quite developed the way you thought it would be. Communicating is more difficult. The time to sell the product, depending upon what markets you're going to, is different. And often, you as the faculty member or the staff member who's helped conceive it isn't really ready to run the business. It's important to bring people in who understand that. So you really want people around the table who A, network, B, have knowledge, C, understand where the markets are going and how to react to the markets.
I was talking with several of the companies here, and we had companies hiring PhDs from Carnegie Mellon and MIT and Caltech and Stanford, and they're all moving here and coming here because cool things are happening. If you got great opportunities, smart people will come.
And we've seen just a snowballing effect across the university and in the wider community. And if you look around our community, this is the most exciting time in the 43 years I've been here. It's just wonderful to see. You've got Innovation Park, Ignition Park, a whole series of other things happening, and now the nexus between here and Elkhart, the Regional Development Authority, and John F. Graves' involvement in that. There's just a palpable energy to the community that we didn't have before.
My vision for the future here is nothing but tremendous upside. I think that the opportunities to have, again, this impact, not only to commercialize what's happening at the university, but to create a pattern in this community that could also be used in other communities. This has the chance to really transform this economy over time. I think in 10 years, we'll look back on South Bend, Elkhart, Notre Dame, and we'll say, wow, what a tremendous difference 10 years will make. Now, we've got the first 10 years, this next 10 years. It's not a linear rise, this is an exponential rise, right? When you get flywheels turning like this, things then start to have increasing returns. And that's exciting because I think you look back and you say, wow, what if this place looked like, Austin, Texas, or Provo, Utah, or Ann Arbor, or other places that are really starting to get into this innovation ecosystem mindset. There's no reason we can't be a center of some tremendous growth and development here in South Bend, Elkhart.
I'm very proud of what we've been a part of, but I know we're just a small part. And if everybody who's a small part thinks positively and go out and tries to do something, that becomes a good wave. And I'm proud that we're part of that wave, and we want to continue to be part of that wave. Certainly when people look back on who we were and what we did, I want them first to say they lived by their values. They were honest and engaged. They were creative and innovative. They were caring and compassionate. And they served everyone in the community and tried to make everything better for the future. And so that's where we're trying to go.
So APCAT is a short name for Advanced Placement, Computerized Adaptive Testing. It's a web-based platform that offers adaptive assessments to students. So by adaptive, I mean that the questions are automatically selected from a large item bank to be tailored to each individual's understanding. So we'll be able to pinpoint somebody's strengths and weaknesses in a much more efficient manner and measure somebody's proficiency more accurately. So this gives teachers a very powerful and effective tool to understand what students know and what they don't know in a very short time. This allows them to adjust their teaching strategies. This also gives students an opportunity to understand where their weaknesses are, and it offers materials for them to learn and improve that's also personalized to their profile. So over the years, we have been primarily using this in high schools. We have collected data from thousands of students in Indiana who have been using this product. When we're using this product in the AP classrooms, it's essentially helping them to learn the material and get better prepared for the AP exams. With AP exams, if you have good performance, of course, it helps your college applications. So that's sort of where we have been using it. And with this commercialization effort, we're actually trying to reach beyond just the high school context. Because it can be so easily customized that you can easily see, let's say, an online training program using this product, right, for workforce reentry. So yeah, there has been interest, especially nowadays, given that after the pandemic, I think the switch to a hybrid mode of instruction or an online mode of instruction is that switch has been turned on. And you can see this trend that even after the pandemic, we don't think it's going to completely go away.
My involvement with this project actually goes back several years. Has a part of a large collaboration, including partners here at the University of Notre Dame like Rick Billow, collaborators at Ohio State like David Helsley, faculty at University of Pittsburgh, Johnson & Johnson, and ITAMCO. We decided to tackle this challenging problem of effectively printing 3D metal parts. And during that process, it becomes challenging to print the 3D metal parts when they're of complex shape and have them have the properties that you need for the part. And that's especially important if you're thinking of a part that you're going to put into an aircraft or into, say, the human body as an implant. And one of the challenges is you don't know what orientation to print the parts. Do you print it vertically? Do you print it horizontally? And so our team tackled this by, instead of just printing parts and testing them and coming up with rules of thumb of how to print the part, we developed an algorithm that would simulate the printing process. And by simulating the printing process, we could simulate many different ways of printing it and essentially choose the best one. This would save time, this would save material, and it would really accelerate the development of metal printing, 3D metal printing. In that process, we worked closely with ITAMCO, which is a local company here in Plymouth, Indiana, and they licensed that algorithm to develop a new software that they could then commercialize. And they started a startup company called Atlas 3D, and Atlas 3D developed the software that is now called Sonata.
The Atlas 3D and the Sonata product have recently been sold to a Fortune 500 company, Siemens. And we're very excited about that. And that, from my understanding, it is Notre Dame's first sale of a company to a Fortune 500 company.
So 3D metal printing is really what we would call an emerging technology. It's just in its infancy. We haven't even begun to tap the potential of this new manufacturing technology. And so when you develop a way to make it faster and more effective, lots of people are interested. And so when we came up with this software, or when Atlas 3D developed this software, there's a lot of interest across a lot of companies to try to pull it in and accelerate their development to bring their products to market.
My name is Fei Luo. I'm a professor at the Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering Department of Notre Dame. I do research in materials. We try to create novel materials with exceptional properties. In this technology, we developed a kind of material that consists of polyethylene, which is a very common plastic, and the 2D materials, graphenes. We composite with 1% of graphene, and we are able to achieve a mechanical property that is stronger than Kevlar, that is commonly used and is a state-of-the-art material for body armors. The company name is Tessellated, and it actually was the idea of a student. His name is Chris Caragino. He's a great kid, and he did a lot of legwork trying to find a beach market for our material, and it turns out snowboard is the one that we may want to get into at the beginning. The idea is that we can prove our materials, its property in snowboard industry, and use that as a launchpad to go to larger markets. These markets include body armors, sports equipment, space applications, and the structural materials. If you talk to Army, they're talking about every ounce counts. They want to save the weight. We can provide the same amount of protection with a fraction of the weight. The other direction we would like to get into the sports equipment. That's, I believe it's a larger market, and you have, say, bicycles, lightweight bicycles. You can have helmets. Football players do not like heavy helmets. We're also thinking of space applications. That's probably going to be the next hotspots for business, space exploration. There's a lot of opportunities there as well.
I'm Tom O'Sullivan. I'm an assistant professor of electrical engineering at the University of Notre Dame. The work I do is motivated by actually my wife, who's a breast cancer survivor. 1 out of 8 women in the United States and worldwide will get breast cancer in their lives. One of the holy grails in cancer treatment is the ability to tailor a therapy specifically for a patient. Right? You might be familiar with the terrible side effects that comes with chemotherapy and radiation, and the idea is why are we subjecting anyone to that if we're not 100% confident they're benefiting from it? So our technology is an example of personalized medicine. What I do is I use light for medical diagnostic purposes because light is a safe way to measure what's going on underneath the skin. And so what NearWave has done is we've developed a handheld imaging device that's used to measure and characterize breast cancer. And one of the things we discovered is we can use this to tell which tumors are responding to treatment much earlier than you would see it on a standard medical imaging modality like MRI or ultrasound. I've been working in this field on this technology for close to 15 years now, but the motivation for the company actually came from a student project in one of my classes. And that student, Roy Stillwell, who's now one of my PhD students, found a very clever way to take this very complex technology and put it in your hand. And with that idea, with help from the Idea Center, from the Harper Cancer Research Institute, we developed that idea and has now stood up the company, and my student will be graduating in the next couple months to take the lead of that company. Initially, the device will be sold to researchers like me who do studies like this. We get a huge enthusiasm from them. And then the next market is doctors, oncologists. And same thing, they say the same thing, that if I could figure out whether my patient is benefiting from this treatment or not, that is a huge benefit, not only for the patient, but for the medical system, right? The health insurance companies as well.
I'm Ryan. I'm with in the bioengineering graduate program at Notre Dame. I've been working in the field of biomaterials for a 20-year academic career. The exciting part of this company is to actually see ideas that I had 15 years ago now have a market that is ready for them, and to have the opportunity to actually bring an exciting material platform to market that can help with clinical outcomes in orthopedics. The core clinical problem that our material platform can solve is improving the integration between implants and bone. And our implant will do that better than what's currently on the market. Our implant is based on a polymer that already has 2 decades of successful use in orthopedics, but its limitation is that it doesn't have any bioactivity. It doesn't integrate with the bone. It doesn't fuse with the bone. And what we've done is we've re-engineered it to do that by adding porosity for the bone to grow into and adding a material called hydroxyapatite, which is what's in your bones. Actually, it's a calcium phosphate that encourages bone to attach to it. The near-term market opportunity for us is in spine. It's called interbody spinal fusion. And so what happens is when somebody has a degenerated disc in between two vertebral bodies, the surgical option to relieve debilitating pain is to go in with an implant. We're launching in the neck, so they actually do an incision and they'll move the esophagus over and they'll put that implant in the disc space to restore height and relieve pain. And so our implant is going to promote that fusion between the two vertebral bodies so that the patient can again have a pain-free and productive life. Oftentimes in academic research, I tell my graduate students what we're doing is easily decades ahead of the market, right? And that's probably the way it should be. And so what's exciting about this is something that, yes, 15 years ago was an idea that was ahead of the market, that wasn't ready for the market, but to be sitting here 15 years later and we're actually bringing it to market is extremely gratifying as a professor, as an inventor, and now as CTO of the company.
As the Charles and Jill Fisher Provost, Marilyn Miranda is Notre Dame's Chief Academic Officer and is responsible for the stewardship of this mission, serving as the principal representative of the Academy to both internal and external constituencies and leading strategic academic initiatives on behalf of the university. Working with the Associate Provosts, the Vice President for Research, the Deans, the University Librarian, and other academic leaders, she seeks to cultivate a learning community that challenges and engages students, inspires leading research and scholarship, and appreciates all intellectual inquiry as a pursuit of the truth. It's my great pleasure to welcome to the stand Marilyn Miranda.
Hey, Brian.
Welcome.
It's always good to be with you.
You too.
I'm absolutely delighted to be here this afternoon to honor the First Source Commercialization Award recipients. We're in our 10th year of awarding these special prizes. At Notre Dame, we understand that the university is only as strong as the region in which we reside. As a consequence, the Idea Center is absolutely critical to our mission as a university. And the way that the Idea Center works with faculty entrepreneurs, student entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs from the local ecosystem are critical to what we want to achieve as a university and are critical to our mission to be a force for good in the world. We are so delighted to be partnering with First Source Commercialization around this award. I'm so happy to be here today with my good friend and collaborator, Brian Ritchie, as well as Chris Murphy from First Source. So with that, it's pretty exciting. I'm going to start by announcing the second place award winner. Here it is. So the second place award winner is Atlas 3D, a team composed of Richard Billow, David Go, David Helsley, and Hao Peng. Congratulations. Congratulations, Hao Peng. Thank you. Congratulations, Richard. Hey, David, congratulations. There's a giant check. There's a giant
here if you
check.
want. I want to give you this prize. I want to congratulate you, all of us from First Source, congratulate you and thank you for the good work you've done. We look forward to you cashing this and either investing in the business or doing some good things to help yourselves and to keep growing here in the community. You've done a great job with a great product, and you did it without all of us thinking it was going to be a great commercialization event. You've done well. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You can fold that up and put it right in your pocket.
Actually, somebody one year went in to try to cash this in the bank, and the teller said, "We better check with somebody." So, congratulations. Thank you very much. Well done. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations. We're so proud. So that was exciting. That leaves us to announcing our first place winner. And our first place winner is Happy. And I'm delighted that entrepreneur Ryan K. Rader is here to accept the award. Ryan, congratulations, my friend.
Congratulations, Thank you. Congratulations. We're really pleased to give this to you. You're also working in an area that's very important around this community in Warsaw, and a lot of companies started up and going to be using your help and your products. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely.
Well done.
Yes.
And this is yours.
That's yours. Let's put it right in your pocket.
Right in there.
Congratulations.
I started tonight with a story about the British cycling team. And if you remember, we talked about the aggregation of marginal gains. What I didn't tell you was about the impact of that over time. Over the century leading up to the 2000s, the British cycling team had never won the Tour de France. But in the 2 decades following, they won it 6 times. I think this is something that says a lot about what's happening here in the South Bend and Elkhart region and the impact of activities and companies like the ones you saw here tonight. These marginal gains, these aggregation of small movements forward, they compound on each other, and over time they lead to great outcomes. Many of you may have seen the write-ups in the New York Times or in the Wall Street Journal that are starting to identify the South Bend Elkhart region as an innovative hub. We hope that that will continue, and we hope you'll continue to follow future award winners and that see all the good things that they do, both those that have won tonight and those that have won in the past and those that will win in the future. Again, thank you, all of you, for joining with us tonight. And again, thank you, all of you, for being a part as well.